Hey guys, I stream on Twitch. Make sure to check the description to go ahead and follow, as I might be live right now, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you have not already with the bell notification on. Thanks guys, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Hello guys and welcome, it is that SRB2Dude here today, bring you yet another Splatoon 3 video. Now, why am I making this video? Today, Splatoon JP decided to share a little bit more news on a new special coming into Splatoon 3 known as the Ink Vacuum. They showed a little bit more gameplay of how it works and like what it does, and I wanted to give my thoughts and opinions on this because personally, I think this special is going to be friggin' insane. And it seems a lot of people on Twitter are also saying the same thing, that they think that this special may or may not be too strong for what it does. So I want to do a little bit further analysis just to kind of give you guys some thoughts and how I think this weapon is going to work when we eventually get our hands on it. So let's go ahead and go into this. Now, looking at all the footage that we've had so far about this special, I can definitely say that the Ink Vac is probably going to be something that's going to be used pretty defensively, as it'll be able to suck up any incoming attacks that are coming from the enemy team. I believe this involves an opponent firing away into the Ink Vacuum, possibly an opponent throwing a splat bomb of some sort into it, and just general stuff like that. We don't have any footage of that, but I assume that might be the case. Just like how we don't have any footage of maybe an incoming special and the Ink Vacuum absorbing all of that. This could include things like the Trizooka, the Crab Tank, or funny enough, maybe an imposing Ink Vacuum blast. If the Ink Vacuum is actually capable of defending and sucking up firing power that comes from a special like an Inkzooka, then I can't tell you enough how powerful defensively this special is going to be and how good it will be, because you could practically defend yourself against almost anything. Challenged by Trizooka? Ink Vac. Challenged by Crab Tank? Send out the Vacuum. It's a great way just to counter and fend off against those sorts of specials if things get a little too much. And better yet, if you do suck up all their firing power, then you can send an explosive shot right back at them, which is possibly going to put them in a very awkward situation. Because one thing I gotta say is that the explosion that can be produced by the Ink Vacuum is huge. If you see the explosion radius this thing makes, it's almost the size of a splashdown or maybe wider. Hard to tell from the footage that we have so far, but it seems pretty deadly nevertheless. Also got to talk about how quickly the bomb detonates when it lands, because it seems like once the bomb lands, it will detonate in the next second, eliminating anything that is within the radius of the explosion. I feel like the blast can really take advantage in removing players for anchoring an area too long, and it will also be extremely good against slower standing weapons. This would include things like the Explosher, the Blob Lobber, Dynamo Roller, or even the Hydra Splatling, etc. These kinds of weapons probably wouldn't even get enough time to really react to the incoming blasts, and will just have to take it, as escaping is not going to be so easy. I could also imagine this being used on camping Zipcaster jump points that are near the end of their special, which would allow the Ink Vacuum user to pick up some very easy frags for people who don't use their Zipcaster in safe points. And not only for Zipcaster jump points, just jump points in general, which I would assume is still in Splatoon 3 anyway. I can also imagine the Ink Vacuum being used as a supportive entry weapon where you can pair up with another person to follow along behind you to safely block off any incoming attacks to take space and control in certain areas. Imagine it as you have a player that has a large moving shield that you kind of just hide behind to take area in a space and will keep you safe to take control of that area. Of course, depending on your weapon, you could also help out and fire back. And of course, once all that firing power from the opposing team has come your way, then your big shield user can then fire back their explosion, further bullying the other team. Which, of course, depending on your weapon, you can also take advantage of, as that player can displace the enemy team and possibly bait them into you for an easy frag. Just a couple of situations and ideas of how I feel like this special is probably going to work. Now, putting this all on the table, it makes this special seem amazing. However, looking at the footage a little closer, it seems like you'll only be able to fill up your vacuum tank from the enemy's firing power alone. Beforehand, I thought it was just, you can pull out the vacuum, and as long as you're sucking up any sort of ink, the vacuum will be charged. But from the footage that we just received so far, it seems like there's a little sound cue that indicates that you are charging up your vacuum tank. which leads me to believe that it can only be charged up by your enemies. This is where games of counterplay would come in, because if you're a smart player and have the knowledge that this is something that happens, if you see an opposing vacuum player, it would be generally just a smart thing just to not shoot at it or avoid engaging with it at all. At this point of time, we do not know what happens if you completely avoid filling up the ink vacuum's tank. I can imagine if it doesn't get filled up at all, no blast can be fired, which in some cases it would make the ink vacuum pretty obsolete as you're not really being able to fire back. And when you think about it like this, it doesn't seem that strong at all. But I feel like as easy as it is to say that, you still have to be vigilant and very careful about an ink vacuum in general. Because the thing is, any little bit of ink will charge up the ink vacuum quite fast to where it can get to its full tank quicker than you might think. To where I also feel like good players who would be using this special would probably be playing a very bait heavy game to play in ways to make you fire at them so they can charge up their vacuum tank. I'm sure there'll be many players out there that will come up with some very creative tactics to suck up ink for free to then fire away their explosion. So basically, be careful of those kinds of players because they will exist. After all of that, what do I think of this special? Personally, I think this is a great special. I feel like this special has potential to be played aggressively and defensively in many different creative ways. I like the idea that it can probably play some sort of mind game into the opponents on whether to shoot or not to shoot, whether to look at the special or not, preferably not most of the time. And I feel like it forces players just to be a little bit more vigilant and aware about what's happening in front of them. All in all, I think this special is going to be great. It's broken if you give it what it wants, which honestly, that can be said for absolutely any special in all Splatoon games. So either way, very much looking forward to actually getting to try this thing out. I'm also interested to see what you guys think of this special. Do you think it's going to be too strong? Do you think it's too weak? Do you agree with what I'm saying with all the mind games and it can be played aggressively and defensively? Let me know in the YouTube comments below. I will be reading them. Let's start a discussion about it. And with all that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to like it on the way out if you enjoyed. Follow me on Twitter and Twitch, both in the description below. Do it for both if you're feeling generous. Also join me on the Discord if you want to be notified for when I am streaming. Currently we're counting down every single day until Splatoon 3 releases, so come and join the waiting room and let's get hyped together and all that jazz. All that being said, thank you very much everyone for watching, and I shall see you guys in a future video.